Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the program. Pot up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. Got a lot to talk about today. Got a good show. Got Buddy Martin here from the Buddy Martin Show. Then we'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Tomorrow we'll have JC. We'll have Mike Morgan from ESPN. We're also supposed to have Todd Ellis, the voice of the Gamecocks. Thursday we'll have Brent Beard and a little high school Baker's Sporting Goods high school roundup with the playoffs starting. And then Friday we'll have JC with the Peachland Dental Picks. And we'll have Alyssa Lane, Gamecock herself, who will be on the sidelines in the swamp for the Gators this weekend. But let's go to the Titanamore hotline, and we're joined by Buddy Martin. You can listen to Buddy every Monday through Friday nights, late night talk show host on Facebook Live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good morning, Buddy. How are you?
I'm your David Letterman. You're
Yes,
Johnny
you are.
Carson. So there you go. And hey, listen, I hope I didn't take you off last night on the show. We were having a spirited discussion. I always defer to you in terms of wisdom about plays and football, whatever. Sometimes we have disagreements, but that's okay with me if it's okay with you.
Absolutely.
I'm still learning. And by the way, I want that shirt. So you got so many shirts.
I have more golf shirts than you can imagine.
Oh, I'm going to take a guess. 200.
At least. And I give a bunch of them away.
Yeah. What size are you, Shane?
It varies on the cut and the brand.
Yeah, that's true.
Some brands I'm an XL, some brands I'm a large.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite brand is Peter Millar and Johnny O.
Of course, they're expensive shirts.
Well, yeah, they're very expensive, but they fit me the best.
Mm-hmm.
They're cut for slender type folks that have long torsos. So.
Okay, Shane, I know what you're talking about. I'm not slender. I'm pear-shaped.
No, I
okay?
wasn't.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
I was not.
Yeah.
No, I was not. I
body
didn't think
shaming.
about
You're
that.
body shaming.
I didn't even think about that. That was terrible to say. Scott has a question here before we jump into conversation.
Already?
Obviously, Gator basketball
All right.
won big last night. You're going to chime in. I didn't see any of it, but Patrick Young, I believe, was in studio on the SEC Network, which is which is wonderful news. Scott asked here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. Shane, since it's Senior Day this Saturday, could you share with us your memory about your Senior Day in 1992? It was actually against South Carolina, believe it or not. I think. Yes, South Carolina. That was their first year in the league. And it was hard. If many people may or may not know, I'm an only child. My dad was a high school coach for 30-something years. My mom was a teacher in the high school system for the same amount of years or whatever. Mm-hmm. They used to leave Mississippi as soon as they got back or after the high school games were over. They would drive 6.5, 7 hours straight to the Cabot Lodge, get here about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, or 4 o'clock in the morning, I guess, sleep until an hour before kickoff. And they had it set up where they had a decent parking spot, I believe, where they could sleep and come to the game, watch me play. Well, I lost my mom before my senior year to breast cancer. So my senior day was pretty rough. My senior year was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Not having my mom around. So
yeah,
it was very emotional.
I didn't know that, Shane. I'm so sorry. And that's at a time when a boy needs his mom a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, I was very close to my mom because I played 3 sports in high school. My dad was also the athletic director. So as soon as my practices were over or games were over, I'd go home. And, my mom she was at the game, but she would be home. My dad had to lock up, turn out all the lights and all that. So he would get home real late. So anyway, my senior year was a rough year. It was a rough year. I believe it's Coach Spurrier's best coaching job he ever did for the Gators in 1992. But senior day is very emotional, man, because you don't really realize it as a player because you're still young. But that's the last time those dudes will ever run out of that tunnel in the Gator uniform. And I'll get choked up a little bit Saturday because not only just for the guys that everybody knows their names, buddy, but I talked about this yesterday on one of the shows I was on. There's going to be a lot of walk-ons that people have never heard of.
Yeah.
They're going to get their name introduced that run out to their parents. Those guys are just as important to this program as anybody. And some of my closest friends to this day were walk-ons when I played here. And you cannot run a football program without a bunch of good walk-ons. So I salute those kids, wish them a lot of success in their next chapter of their life. But anyway, that's enough of that. And
listen. I'm glad you shared the personal part. Sometimes I think we just sort of go past the personal part, and people know you. You're now associated with this program in a big way, and I think people want to know more about you. I've known you a lot of years. I know about your mom, and I've got a couple of personal things to share today that I want to share just real quick. I won't do it now, but one of them has to do with my friend Terry Bradshaw. And then I want to share that I'm going to meet a special friend on Saturday. I'll tell you about it. 3 generations of sports media guys. He's being honored at the University of Florida Journalism School. So when you get around to it, if you got a minute, I'd like to share those stories.
Absolutely. And before we jump into everything here, Andy asked Shane, what festivities planned for the 92 team this weekend? They are Coach Spurrier being the ambassador. He's big into honoring all the championship teams, regardless of the sport. But since it's been 30 years and 25 years for the 97 team, those are 2 of his favorite teams, 92 and 97. They have some barbecue stuff planned. I think we'll be at Spurrier's Friday night. So they introduce the team, or the team walks out, I think, between the first and second quarter. So that'll be cool to see a bunch of guys from those ball clubs. All right, buddy. Last night, before we talk basketball, let's go get your thoughts. I said on your show last night, I thought it was the best game the Gators have played all year.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of how the defense looked in the first half or whatever, I still thought it was the best game we played all year. Your thoughts on the Aggie game?
Well, I can see why you said that. I still go back to Utah because it was the first game, and Billy's first game was the coach, and they were ranked? I forget what they were ranked, but top 10, I believe. And to come out and play with a brand new bunch, with a brand new quarterback, I thought that was his signature win. Now looking back on it, it's even more signature because what was ahead. But that was a really good win. And I'll tell you the difference. Utah told us this team was capable, and told us Billy was capable, and gave us, unfortunately, false hope. It was fool's gold. Oh, okay, they're going to be a playoff. I mean, we went crazy after that. Although we tried on this show and my show to say, don't fall in love on the first date. Well, they didn't, but they fell in love after the first date was over, and of course, ready to crowd Billy. Now, look, there was a rough stretch there. We know now they play 3 of the top 10 teams in the country, and we see the results. Now things are beginning to even out, and I think what you said is true about this win because of how it happened. It was a tremendous coaching job. You don't hear people talk about halftime talks or whatever anymore. In those old days of fire-breathing coaches at the halftime, those aren't really real that much. But this was one where the team called each other out. And Billy also said we can do better, and he asked for better. And Shane, to your point, when they came back on the field, and you had said, and Sean had said, look, this team has got ways to go here. They come back, they're down by 4, was it 24-20, whatever it was, and they're going to get and they don't get the ball because A&M receives the kickoff, and the way things were going up and down the court, like a fast break offense, we figured, well, they'll go down there and Haynes King will take it in for a score on the first drive. Well, guess what? They didn't. They brought out the weapon, the punt. They finally punted, and they punted, and they had 3 stops, and the momentum, and of course, Anthony's run and all the other stuff that happened. So, and a credit to everybody, the coaching staff, everybody, on really finding themselves, Shane, and identifying who the leaders were, And guys like Ventrell Miller, I know made a lot of talk. He said, and I love this comment, he said, them boys said, we want to shut them out. And I got to say, he said, they stood on that. That resolve, that grit is what makes a football team. And Shane, I know you like to emphasize the word team. The team came together in a way at Texas A&M before. How many did you say they were there? 99,000 and found,
at least
found something, Shane. I could hear the excitement in your voice a little bit. This team found something. Now, what it is exactly and how far it can take them, I don't know, but I can see why you would say that, because that was on the road in the SEC. First win since 2020 on an SEC road game. So, yeah, it was a big – no, it wasn't Georgia and Alabama and LSU and all that. It was a big win for the program in Florida.
No, it was definitely a big win. It was just a different vibe I saw from the team, and I don't know if it was the departure of Brenton Cox that the team played more as a unit than offensively. I think people talked about they loved the tempo of the offense. The tempo had not changed at all throughout the year. The difference was, buddy, and you hear me talk about it on here all the time, is complete passes. When you complete passes, you can get into your offense, and the down and distance has changed. And I thought that was by far Anthony's best game as a Gator. Now,
no turnovers again.
Right, no turnovers, and he still made some mistakes. But nobody's going to throw a perfect game. But I just thought he was in complete control, and there's something they can build on with two not so great teams coming up the next 2 weeks. These opponents are not very good, and then hopefully we'll be sitting at 7-4 rolling.
Well, one more game to be bowl eligible, which is key now.
Yeah,
and the chance to win out with 3 and get an 8-win season, which you said again on my show last night. You said 7 wins would be a great season. All right, I believe you said great. Anyway, 8 wins would be, you couldn't even describe it.
Sensational.
I think remarkable, sensational.
Remarkable.
Something you said, yeah. And then how about this? Go to a bowl game and win a 9th game. I know I'm stretching it. What would that adjective be? Unbelievable?
Yes, it would be just shocking. Scott says here he looked up some stats from my senior day against Carolina, which we struggled against. We were terrible in 92, by the way. He says, Shane, you were 19 of 32, 259 with a touchdown and a TD run.
What? Wait, that got to be a typo. That's got to be he never run for a TV. Touchdown.
The touchdown was on a seam route to the late great Aubrey Hill.
Yeah, Aubrey.
Yeah, I love me some Aubrey Hill.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, buddy. Let's. I think this team took a huge step. We will see. We talked a lot about it on your show last night. Some of the players, I think it was Montrell Johnson during the presser yesterday. They were talking about they were basically taking shots at Ant, saying we want you to come back.
Yeah.
I get it. Obviously they do. I personally don't think he comes back. I don't think there's a reason for him to come back. I know people say he needs another year under the system to develop. I totally agree with all that, but the NFL does not care about all that. Okay, he's going to be a first-round draft pick. It's just where does he fall in line in the first round with these mock drafts? But you think that he could take out a huge insurance policy, which I get that side of it too. But the world has changed from I would say this, and there's really not much of this happening in college athletics anymore. The whole legacy. Let's just say that. Let's use John Brantley. I always want to call him the junior, but he's like the 4th. The kid that played quarterback for us.
He's the 4th. Yes, he is the 4th.
The dad is the 3rd. Okay, so let's just say this was, with his family, with his uncle, all those people being Gators. I think that might play a little bit more into a kid's decision because of the love of the university. Not saying Anthony does not love the University of Florida. Please don't start shooting me texts and all that crap, people. But do you see where I'm going with this, buddy?
I do. And I have to defend you, Shane, all the time. And I know where your heart is. And I know that what you mean. But it's like we have a group of people that think that you don't like him. You don't like Anthony and so on and so forth. I know the complete history of it, and I understand it, okay? And I can see why there would be room for both sides. I'm simply trying to speak for the fans here, and you're probably right. It's probably about an 80% chance he's gone. But like I said last night, I'm a dreamer. You're not. You're a practical kind of guy. And I dream of the max. You are, Shane. You're smiling, but you're a practical guy. Yeah, and that's good for a lot of things. But fans like to say, okay, let's dream for a second. What could happen here? And I say, you finally found a guy who's got skills. And just watching him run on that 60-yard, we talked about last night, that run was fabulous. And I go back again, not to be redundant, watching quarterbacks for a long time in Florida and remembering the 10 years when we didn't have one around here until Kyle Trask stepped up. And I think they got a guy who is a special talent, and it kind of reminds me in a way of Doug Dickey taking over the team from Ray Graves and having a guy named John Reeves at quarterback. Your guy who helped you coach you at Florida, and Doug Dickey made him an option quarterback. He was a classic drop back quarterback. And so I think about, okay, they had a major talent, they didn't use him right. So now I think Billy's using this kid right. He's found something. A light went over his head, Shane. What you said, he called a good game. Now, should he take the money? Yeah, probably. What do you think he get? 25, 30 million? I don't even know. But just for a second, suspend that for a second and say, well, what if? What if they had an NIL deal and they could get it? They bought a Lloyd's of London insurance policy and said, all right, what you going to take to insure him against injury? $5 million for I don't even know, for a $30 million deal. So he could play free, sleep in his own bed, come back to his hometown, play one more year, and maybe have a crack at winning the SEC East, because they're going to get better. And Anthony could enjoy his college experience one more year. I mean, you're going to make a ton of money just playing college ball. So I'm just putting that out there. We'll see. I put it out there last week. What did Montreal said last night? We need him back. That's all.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate here, and don't read anything into this. Okay. But what if the coaching staff has somebody else in mind that they may prefer over him at quarterback? I'm just saying, because today's world, you never know. And like I said, I don't know what they're paying him in NIL money. Maybe they don't want to increase that value where they could use it towards other players. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, we'll see. It'll be intriguing to see what happens.
It will be. What does he have to decide? I don't even know. January? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how all that works. But I personally think he needs to go pro because not saying need, but I think he will. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't need to have to deal with these kids want to go play professional football. That's their job. Yeah. And so then all they have to deal with is football. He didn't have to worry about going to class. He didn't have to worry about all the people in town bothering him. And he won't play. He'll get to sit and learn the position for a while. So we'll see how it all plays out.
All right, Shane, let me ask you a real quick question before you go to that message. Let's put you in the same situation. Supposing your last year that you came back, suppose you had that pro contract and you did well. You played in the league for 14 years and whatever. But what if Coach Spurrier had come to you and said, Shane, I need you to stay here. We got a chance to win the championship.
Well, it's different. It's different.
I know it's different, but it's still the same principle.
Here's why I say it's different. Okay, because we had won 2 SEC championships my sophomore, my junior year.
Yeah.
I was the player of the year in the conference for both years.
Right.
So if he came to me, we'd won a bunch of games, buddy. We'd only lost in 2 years 1 SEC game.
I know.
And so I probably would have come back.
Yeah, you would.
Because we would. Now, we weren't very good my senior year. We knew we weren't going to be that great because we had to replace a lot of linemen. But I had won a lot and had an opportunity to maybe win something more.
Right.
The problem is we ain't been winning. That's the problem.
Well, and but what if he goes 8-9-4 or whatever? I mean, think about it.
I mean, right. I hear you, but I don't know.
And plus, Shane, you'd have gotten to say we're going to give you $200,000 to come back. That would have enticed you a little bit.
Well, that was way more than what I got as a free agent.
Well, there you go. I'm just saying, Anthony
I didn't know I was supposed to be the third quarterback taken.
$2 million a year playing in college ball and sleeping in his own bed, Shane. Think about it.
I don't think they're not gonna pay him $2 million, buddy. There's no way.
Hey, how much are the Alabama quarterbacks getting?
I'm just telling you. They need to spread that money elsewhere.
Well, it doesn't work that way.
Well, Brandon says something right here. He says if Shane was a first rounder, I bet he would have left early. You know who would have told me to leave?
Coach Spurrier.
Coach Spurrier would have said, "Get out of here," like he did with Ike and Riedel.
But that's if he couldn't pay you. He can pay you now. It's different, Shane. Listen, but how good was your college experience? Better than anything you ever had in the NFL. You know that.
Well, because I was a backup my whole life in the NFL, which is fine.
What do you think? Anthony could be a backup too.
Well, he's gonna have to really understand the game to be a backup. Okay. That's what backups are.
Even more reason to come back and learn another year.
Well,
college.
I mean, like I said, the processing information, all that, I don't think you can learn it. Ted says if AR can't throw the ball now, what makes you think that he will be accurate in the NFL?
What do you mean he can't throw the ball? He can.
Well, he's not an accurate thrower, but he's not an accurate thrower.
But that's not saying he can't throw the ball.
Well, that's what he's referring to. But the point is, the NFL does not care about that. They think they can take it doesn't matter if it's a damn robot with all these great skills. They think they can make him a quarterback. There's a million guys you can go down a list and see that. I think he has a chance because he's going to be a lot of like Justin Fields, who doesn't throw it well but runs around. And we'll just see who takes him. But I don't think he's coming back. That's just my opinion.
Well, he may not. And I think I said 80% chance he won't. I'm just leaving. Shane, can you just leave the door cracked a little bit there? Leave it cracked?
No, I mean, if he comes back, great. But my biggest concern is if he doesn't progress, even though he's had good games and he had a bunch of bad games and he has good games and bad games. I said the biggest thing with Anthony Richardson, I've seen it since high school. There's one word: consistency.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do,
that's
especially at the quarterback position.
Every quarterback has that issue.
Right. But if you look at the top 20 teams in America, their quarterbacks play at a consistent basis. That's all I'm saying. Are you married? Are you married?
Yeah, I am married.
Are you married,
Shane.
Buddy? Are you in the market to buy or sell your home?
You want to propose to me, Shane? I didn't know.
No, I do not, buddy.
Okay.
You're taken. Doreen Weavy, a realtor with Caldwell Banker, M. Parish, will provide you with fast, friendly, reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411. Help your dreams come true. Speaking with Buddy Martin, we'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Edgar was in College Station. He was also at the basketball game last night. Let's briefly touch. We've had a couple of people talk about how they saw Patrick Young in studio. Is he going to continue? Because we know he was working for the SEC network before his accident. I assume they're going to allow him to continue working because I thought he was outstanding in studio.
I'm going to tell you what, last night confirmed it. And I'm saying my wife didn't pay any attention to anybody on the screen. She said, who is that guy? And she fell in love with Patrick Young because what's not to like? Number one, he's very knowledgeable on the game. He played at the high level. He speaks really well. He's a polished speaker. He knows the game. He's a good-looking guy. Even in that wheelchair, he looks great. And this guy, I'm telling you, is a superstar waiting to happen in television.
Yes.
And I tell you what, people love Patrick Young. I mean, they love him. They love what he's overcome. It's terrible he had to go through this pain. I forget, Shane, was it an injury, car wreck? I don't remember the injury.
Yes, he was actually, it was something along the lines. Chris Harry wrote a great story on it.
Yeah,
it wasn't even, it was just, he didn't have his seatbelt on. He was only going like 30 miles an hour in a location he wasn't familiar with, but ran into a ditch. And it was, that's what it was so hard to believe because he was going only like 34, 35 miles an hour.
And a big, strong, strapping guy, you know.
I know.
A body, a Greek god body.
It's hard to believe, and it's very sad, but he's making it a positive.
Out of this, something great will come. I'm telling you, this guy's got superstar written all over him. You watch him. He was last night watching he was so good on the SEC Now program with Darian. I forget that guy's name. He was the other guy. I think he's a former Kentucky player. The boy, God bless Patrick Young, I tell you.
All right, let me get to some of these texts on the Titan More text line for us, buddy. This comes from Dan. He says the moves ETN made on that third down conversion were insane. He has got great feet in the hole. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
This one is from, don't know who it's from, but they said the number one linebacker recruit, Anthony Hill, decommits from A&M. Gator fans.
Yeah.
It happens to most every team, not just us. We will probably lose a few recruits along the way. Don't panic. That is true. Chris in Cottondale says, can you give us a breakdown of the three QBs, what you see as far as strengths and weaknesses in their game and what routes concepts you think each throws well? Well, I don't get to watch a whole lot. And, look, here's the thing. We all know Anthony can make all the throws because of his arm strength.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he showed great touch the other night. He still threw a few that were really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Miller and Jalen Kitna they throw a catchable ball. They're pretty accurate. They know where to go with the football. They're just different guys. I mean, look, I didn't have a strong arm, but I was.
You had the Joe Montana touch though. That's the thing.
Well, most of Coach Spurrier, all his quarterbacks are the same. Good decision makers, be accurate, anticipate, throw on time, all that kind of stuff. Those are things that you really can't teach. You just have it in you. So it's hard to say there. Chris says, Buddy is the biggest AR fan ever. One solid game, and he wants to give him millions and millions of dollars. Why doesn't Buddy ever listen to what you tell him? No, Buddy and I have a nice disagreement at times. It is what it is. All right, who is this here? Got two more here, buddy. Then we're going to let you tell us about Terry Bradshaw. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. A&M was a bad team before the half. Their team got the flu. They are a bad team.
Okay, fine.
I also think we were better than 11 personnel.
Then cancel the win. It didn't count. Okay, give Timbo the W. Okay, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of hearing that.
All right, Alan in Atlanta. Last text on the Titan More text sign. If AR plays like he did last week, the rest of the year he's gone. There won't be enough NIL money to keep him around, and I agree with Shane. Spread the money around. We need some transfer portal help, and we'll need that money for that.
You can't spread the money around, folks. It's illegal. Okay, I mean you can make a deal NIL. Well, I mean, you can make a group deal. All wide receivers get $50,000, but just because, look, I mean, I'm not going to argue the point. Look, I don't know anything. Okay, I know nothing, but I have common sense, and I know a little bit about college football, and I say it'll work out either way. I haven't seen Jack Miller yet. I like John Kitna. I'm not sure I'm prepared to go into next year with those guys as quarterbacks. I don't know.
Let me ask you this, buddy. Playing devil's advocate again. Before Anthony Richardson stepped on campus, were you worried about him taking a snap?
Well, here's the problem, Shane. You had a big advance notice we didn't have. You saw him throughout their high school. I never saw.
No, but I'm saying you were saying if Anthony left, you're not ready to hand the keys to Kitna or Jack Miller. How do we not know?
I don't know.
How do we not know they can throw the football?
That's what I say. I didn't say I didn't know. I said I don't know. I don't know about that, but I know what I see. And let me just say one thing about Anthony, okay? For you, those of you who think I'm blindly in love with Anthony and don't understand he's got some flaws. I know other quarterbacks, by the way, including Young, who have flaws. The touch pass he threw to Jaquavion Frazier's was really a spectacular throw. Yeah, he didn't throw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. He threw a changeup and laid it in perfectly. Frazier's made a terrific catch. That told me something there. He can throw a touch pass, and that's big, okay?
Yeah. Dan says, I wish Florida had taken a shot when Kitna came in there when AR's helmet came off.
I agree with that.
I said that on the air because I used to do that in high school.
Yeah.
Because nobody expects when your backup quarterback comes in for a play or two that you're going to throw it, and especially throw it deep, and it's so safe. They always just turn around and hand it off.
Well, Coach Spurrier had a play like that when Danny Orful limped off the field in the SEC championship game.
For Cresser to throw it. Cresser had a better arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, buddy. Tell us about your man, Terry Bradshaw.
All right. Now, I'm not going to have a lot of time. I just want to say real quick, before I do, just real quick. My friend George Solomon's coming to the University of Florida. He's a former sports editor of the Washington Post. George and I went to journalism school together. They're having a special function for him at the journalism school. His son, Aaron, is the producer of Around the Horn, and his grandson, Bennett, as an intern and worked for us for a while at WRUF. So 3 generations of Solomon, all Gators and journalists go, I'm going to go pay my respects. Now, get off of Terry Bradshaw's back.
What did he do?
Well, he didn't do anything, but he had cancer. He came back. He struggled for a while because all the chemo. He had cancer twice. 2 times over the last year. Didn't talk about it. He came back to work, and wasn't exactly on his game the first week or 2. I mean, I wouldn't either if I'd been through all that. And people were brutal. Get him off the air. He's no good. He can't remember anything. Blah, 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 blah. Terry Bradshaw is extremely popular with the public. Makes millions at Fox. And yes, maybe he's lost a half a step, all right? At least for now. But you watch it, he'll get it back. His whole life, he's battled this. He was benched, called dumb. He went through all this stuff. He had his crucible as an NFL player. And by the way, he did wind up winning 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. Do not bet against my friend Terry Bradshaw, and get off his back and stop making fun of him and stop talking about him being too old and fat and can't remember. That's disgusting, okay?
I've not heard anything about that.
Oh, yeah. All over social media. All over it.
Well, that's a shame. People shouldn't do that at all. All right, buddy. Did you get to see any of the basketball game at all?
I heard it. I heard the names Alex Fudge and Will Richard, and I heard Castleton sounded great when I heard the game called. It's exciting. People are excited. They have the energy on the bench, according to what they say. Some of your guys can tell you, but people were there. France was there. Wrote a story about it, and they're going to fire it up. The one thing he's going to have that White didn't have was he's not going to have those long 5-minute spells of nobody be able to shoot the basketball. Todd Golden knows how to put the ball in the hoop. He's going to have his players firing at it. It's going to be a different brand of basketball. Winning last night over Stony Brook, 81-45. And the players he put on the floor, I'm told, were really impressive, not the least of which was Alex Fudge. What a great name that is. And Will Richard, and, of course, Colin Castleton, who's going to be a stud.
Dan says the view is much better now that the camera shoots from the alumni side to the Rowdy Reptiles. So that should help.
Well, Dan would know that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dan. I saw Dan actually out at College Station.
Yeah, he's a Texan. He lives out there. He does a great job for us on our show, writes for us occasionally. A big fan of this show, as you know, as well. And let somebody say 2 seconds about one thing. I complained about some of the offensive game plan in the third period, prior to the third period against Georgia. And after the game was over, I made a comment on this show in my column. It's the best they could do offensively, what they did against Georgia after having a week off, because they didn't look like they were on their game. But during this game, I saw things I liked a lot offensively. You tell me, you're the expert. I know, but how do you call grounding on the flea flicker, by the way? I've never seen that.
Well, because Anthony was still in the pocket, and so we ran it. I don't know if it was Ricky or whatever receiver ran the deep post, and then we had a deep crosser going from our sideline to their sideline. Yeah, we had no eligible receivers on the right side of the field on our side. They were trying. They were trying to take a shot, and he just sailed it out of it. It was the right call.
How about the jet sweep reverse? Did you like that?
The jet sweep reverse.
Yeah,
I missed that play.
Pearsall.
I think we just ran the jet sweep. We didn't. I know the one you're talking about. Yes. Yeah. Oh no. I thought we called a really good game.
There's some wrinkles. That's all I'm asking. Give me a couple wrinkles. That's all I ask.
Yeah. No doubt.
But what all right,
buddy?
All right, man.
What you got on your program tonight? We got to get to Edgar.
Yeah, go get Edgar. We're going to have David Whitley on and our guys, Lauren Matthews. So have a good show. Hello to Edgar. Edgar has a lot of information. Get him on there.
All right, buddy. That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Take a quick time out. Come back. We'll have Edgar Thompson. You're watching and listening to Pod Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER. UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate. With premium brands like Bass Pro Shops, International Diamond Center, Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Wawa, the Gadget Guys, and the HBC's restaurant. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, now selling head beer coach, American Lager at Spurrier's, Visors, Gator Games, and select stores across America. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan & More Hotline. We're joined by Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. Good morning, Edgar. How are you?
Good morning, man. Good to see you. What's the background you got going there, man?
I'm at Hilton Head. We always have a theme of the opponents that we are playing.
Okay.
So we are at Hilton Head, South Carolina.
I wish we were
Edgar,
there.
let's get your thoughts on the football team, and then I know you were at the basketball game. A lot of people didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see any of it. We're going to get your thoughts on that. Your thoughts on the A&M victory. I thought it was by far the best performance of the entire team, quite honestly, this year. I thought it was Anthony's best game as a Gator. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, something to build on. And what I wrote about today was, here's a team that's rallied several times. Now, it wasn't double-digit deficits like some of these other games against Tennessee, LSU, Georgia. Couldn't close the deal in those. Better teams, obviously, but this time did close the deal and closed it with authority. 6 lead changes, didn't play well down the stretch of the first half yet again. Botched some stuff. And
all right, I want to get your thoughts on the end of the second half or the first half when you're done.
Now, or you want my overview again? You want my thoughts right now on that?
Well, no, whenever you're done.
Well, I was just going to say, then they go in the second half and get a stop, which has been rare, and then answer with the score or have a score. And then they just went from there. I mean, A&M, what was it? 1 of 8 on third down. Now I get it. Depleted team, though I think that narrative was beaten to death. There were 2 players that started the week before that missed a game for the flu. One was a quarterback, mind you, and an offensive lineman. They've had some injuries. Their best player on defense, All-American safety Antonio Johnson, out. Would Anthony have run that 60-yard, had that 6-yard run as easily with an All-American safety back there? Maybe not, though he's pretty amazing once he gets the edge like that. I guess what I'm saying is I get it, but I mean, aren't the Gators missing some guys? I mean, Brenton Cox didn't play. I mean,
that was a blessing, though.
Well, yeah, and guys stepped up in his stead and forced back-to-back fumbles. I'm just saying, like you said, they played with energy. They played, the run game. They greased up and wore them down. I mean, Johnson and ETN, that 1-2 punch is a nice, thing going forward for this team. I don't know. There was a lot to build on there, and I'm in the airport the next day, and as a Gator fan too, from Ocala, saying, oh yeah, A&M didn't have 20 starters. I'm like, 20 where are you getting this information, man? I mean, the narrative was just, look, I'm just not going to take away from what I saw the other day. And then Anthony did look like we expected him and expect him to look more consistently. he's still making mistakes, obviously, and missing some throws. And yeah, back to the end of the first half. I mean, 2:32, they get the ball. First play.
That's where I wanted to go back, because I brought it up yesterday on every show I was on, because that's what everybody was all over Billy Napier for going to the locker room with 3 timeouts. But they didn't understand the situational football that was going on. As you said, 2:32, I have it right here. Anthony has a wide open, probably his worst throw of the game, Xavier Henderson, wide open in the flat on our sideline, that gains minimum of 15 yards, maybe more, and he would have gotten out of bounds. Throws it way over his head. Next play.
Was he even trying to throw it to him? I mean, it looked like he was throwing it away.
He may have been. I don't know if he saw him.
I think he saw him, and he was right there.
So that's the worst thing that can happen in a 2-minute situation. You're always taught to throw a completion. Doesn't matter if it's a 4-yard completion, get the drive moving. Okay. Mm-hmm. Next play, run jet sweep with Ricky Pearsall for 1 yard. They call timeout. We come back. We get pressured. He throws another ball away. Okay. We threw 2 passes. Okay. We weren't kneeling down. We weren't running the football off tackle.
20-second drive. Right.
So execution. It wasn't clock management, game management. It was execution. They score. We get it back with 2:04. Okay. No, I'm sorry. We get it back with 1 minute with 3 timeouts. Okay. We get a delay of game. Now, that's on the quarterback, but it's also the officials started the clock way too soon after that change of possession. But the next play is the play that puts you behind the 8 ball, and you're going to go to the locker room. We called outside zone left. Anthony ran outside zone right. Busted play. Mental error. He ran the ball. Didn't get out of bounds. The series is over. So I don't know what fans are thinking, because they don't know situational football is my point.
Okay, fair enough. And we talked about this. We were hanging out eating popcorn at halftime, talking about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like there's this middle 8 thing that's a big deal now.
What is
I didn't
that?
know about. Okay, exactly. Nick Delatorre got me into it. Nick's a big, been doing this for years and big fan favorite and does a great job at, Gators Online. And he's pointing out the middle 8, how they're not good at this. And I'm like, what is it? Last 4, first 4, the middle 8. They were minus 37 in that 8-minute period after the first half. Now, then they cut it back down to minus 30. That's still not good on the season, but it was looking like they could have easily been minus 44 given the tenor of the game, that A&M would have come out and scored again, right? And then pushed the lead. So I asked Billy about the end of the half and that whole key aspect. And he said, yeah, we got to get better at that. We used to crush that. That's analytics stuff, right? Middle 8. He's all into this analytics, key moments of the game where you gain momentum and continue momentum. He's like, we used to crush that. There's a lot of things they used to crush at Louisiana they're not crushing right now. And I'm sure it's frustrating for him. So, anyway, my whole point is they botched all that. He knew it. He knows they've been botching that. They've been getting beaten at that aspect of the game all season. And they did LSU. LSU scored late and then 4 plays scored again. That was the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is, we just aren't good at throwing the football, going bang, 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 bang. We aren't good at that. That's not who we are. People talk about team's identity. We have no identity when it comes to hurry up and throwing the football, in a 2-minute situation.
They're not good.
We're handcuffed. That's just where we are. But anyway, at Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Edgar Thompson on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. All right, Edgar, anything else? I mean, what do you I personally think South Carolina is a bad football team. Their record is a joke. They are not a 6-3 team. They've beaten a bunch of cupcakes. I think Florida wins big Saturday.
I don't know enough about South Carolina. They did have one win, I think, that came out of nowhere that kind of shifted my thinking on them. They beat Kentucky pretty soundly.
Did they beat Kentucky?
They beat someone pretty soundly that like made me kind of recalibrate my thinking on them. But I'll tell you this, everybody wants to complain about Anthony and he's falling short here and there. That was his 10th start, by the way, in fairness.
I don't think who's complaining.
I mean, there's fans that, Well,
the fan here's what I told Buddy. This is where Anthony has got to get. He's going to make the 60-yard runs. He's going to make some good throws. For him to take the next step, it's the word consistency.
Dude, we have talked. I know you and I talked about this ad nauseum. We had a heated text exchange, but a week ago about all this, about coaching versus this. And I'm like, all you do is defend the coaches. And you're like, well, Anthony needs to make plays. And
and so what did he do Saturday? He threw at a high completion rate.
He looked good.
That's what I'm saying. So it's about the kid executing and being a consistent player. If he does that, Florida can win games. If he doesn't, Florida ain't winning any games.
They left some points on the table, though. That 4th down call with Johnson running wide, near the goal line. I didn't like that. And I mean, look, no one's going to call the perfect game either. Here's my thing, man, is Anthony started 10 football games. 5 have been against ranked opponents. This one was a road game. I'll say this, to take away from this game? A&M has a heck of a good crowd. Their crowd shows up for a 3-1 football team and is into it. That's a good crowd. It's a great stadium. They got something going there. It's terrible this year, but they can build that. But yes, I do think, Shane, that the interesting thing, and we were talking about this before we came on, is does Anthony come back? I mean, he obviously needs more time, man. And you're thinking not. I'm sitting on the airplane flying back with a gentleman who's known Anthony since he was a kid. He's shown me pictures of him at church. This guy knows Anthony. He says his mother does not want him leaving. He knows he's not ready. She sure knows he's not ready. Yada, yada, yada. And I said, look, man, there are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks and they see the skills and all this, and he's going to get promises and he's got people in his ear. Is he really coming back? I mean, you say yes and no, but what's the downside of him coming back? He's still 20 years old right now.
Right. But here's the thing. If he gets drafted, they're not going to throw him right into the fire. He's going to learn the system, learn the NFL game, and maybe they can teach him the stuff that the NFL people think they can teach. If he comes back and he still has good games, had bad games. My point to the whole thing is his athletic ability, what the NFL people are in love with, ain't going to change in a year. In another 10 years, he's going to be 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds, throw it 100 yards, 100 miles an hour, and can run. That ain't going to change if he comes back for another 12 games next year. The NFL people, this is just people I talk to, and my experience, they don't give a damn how he plays right now in college football.
So he can't elevate himself from 44th pick to 14th pick if he comes back and has a great year. And
he could, but he's not going to be the 44th pick, even if he plays terrible the next 3 weeks.
Well, you think he's a first rounder still?
Yes, he will be a first round pick.
I'm not seeing that.
I know you're not seeing it, but I'm saying
NFL, if you go look anywhere,
the NFL looks at him as the NBA looks at those guys that come out of Kentucky that never played.
I'm just saying, Shane, I mean, I'm not, if you go around and look at, I'm not saying these mock draft people, some are, not very informed, but I mean, I'm talking to one guy who's been doing this for 30 years the other day. I'm not going to share a name, but I mean, he's been doing this. I've known him since my first Senior Bowl in 2006, and he's been doing it. He's not close to ready.
Okay, so but my question is, if he plays another 10, 12 games, will that help him get any more ready?
How can it help?
It could hinder him too. Real quick, Joseph says,
get
show
hurt.
the kids some love every now and then, and that would go a long ways in the fan base. Joseph, I'm being honest, buddy. I've coached against the kid, with the kid for ever since high school. I love the kid. I'm just telling you the facts. The facts are he has a lot of ability. The facts are to play at the next level at a high level. Look, he's going to go to the NFL. He may never start a game there. We don't know that. There's nothing wrong with that. The bottom line is decision making and accuracy. And I said he played his best game as a Gator the other day.
Yeah, you and I have talked. That's the key. I mean, I remember talking to Phil Simms years ago when I was covering the NFL, and he's like, forget the big arm, forget the size, forget that. This game is about accuracy and decision making. 1, 2. That's what you got to have. It was, and so this was a story, Shane, about Rex Grossman. So we're done 20 years ago. I talked to Phil Simms, and that's what he said. He's like, forget all the big arm and this and that. He's like, you got to be accurate and make good decisions, which is something he did. And he was big too and had a big arm. But look, here's my thing, Shane. You say, oh, they're not going to throw him to the wolves. They're not going to. Ryan Tannehill missed the game the other night. Next thing you know, Malik Willis is in
because
there.
they didn't have anybody else. And did you see Malik Willis's stats? He can't throw in that league.
He looked terrible.
Right.
Anthony throws the football a lot better than that guy.
They're pretty much the same guy. That's all they talked about was his arm strength, how he can run the ball. I'm just telling you, you get exposed on Sundays if you can't throw.
I get it. Dude, I understand this. And I think he needs more seasoning. He needs more time. You know, I don't know. Are these the right guys to coach him? Is he? I mean, I don't know enough of this, man. All I'm saying is more time with this guy. You know, he brings an injury factor risk, and he brings an injury risk in if he comes back. We've seen him get hurt.
And all I'm saying is, just by him coming back for another year, there's no guarantee that word develop is going to change. You know, that's the thing. And
is he a hard worker?
Oh, I'm sure he is. That again, in my personal opinion, people can bash me all they want. I don't give a damn. The good Lord bless people with strong arms. Yes or no? Some people have stronger arms than others. Yes or no, Edgar? Answer that.
He's yes. He's got
not him. I'm just saying in general. Do some quarterbacks have arms stronger than others? Yes or no?
There's no doubt.
Okay. Does this good Lord bless people with speed, or some guys faster than others?
I'm following you, man. And some people.
So my point is, can you improve your arm strength a little bit? Yes. Can you improve your speed a little bit? Yes. But you either are fast or you either have a good arm. Can you understand how to process information? Some people can, some people can't. Can you improve there? I don't think you can. Can you improve your anticipation? I don't think you can. This is not directed at him. This is just the position in general. I've seen too many of them in my lifetime. As I said, I had 4 first-round draft picks that I played with that lasted less than 3 years in the league because they had no anticipation, they had no decision-making processing skills. So now, can Anthony develop that? Maybe he's the small minority that can. But I hope he does. But I don't think the 12 games is going to make a difference. That's just my opinion.
So in 2008, I was covering the Dolphins, or was it 8, 7? They draft Chad Henne with the 58th pick, and Matt Ryan went with the 3rd. They had the number 1 pick. They took Jake Long. And I remember someone calling me when they were moving off of Ryan. They repped Ryan, and they were like, they're not even coming after Matt Ryan. And I'm like, okay, thinking that's not smart, but whatever. They thought Chad Henne was as good as Matt Ryan. Go look at Chad Henne's college stats. He was like a 57-8% completion guy. He wasn't accurate. And he made a lot of money in the NFL. He's been a backup. He might still be somewhere.
He's still with the Chiefs. He's with the Chiefs.
Yeah, but he's not playing. He wasn't a franchise-changing quarterback. He's terrible with the Dolphins because he wasn't accurate.
Well, you're making my point for me.
I get it. I'm making it, and I'm agreeing with it. Yeah. I'm just saying I think this kid needs more time. He's young. He'll be 21 next May. And I think, you can You can work with the guy, but you don't think that. We have this
it's not that I don't.
all the time.
I'm saying let the NFL people try to develop those skills.
Well, then
because
do we
want to sit here and go,
for the Gators? Who's playing quarterback for the Gators next year?
oh, that I don't know. I don't know. It's not my job to figure that out. But could it be somebody out of the portal? I don't know. I'm just saying, if I'm him, I go.
A top quarterback in the portal, looking at this team, is this team ready, have the roster ready to win next year? I'm not breaking that all down. Has going to have a nice run game, but Torrance is going to be gone, and he's been a key element of that line. They're going to lose Garage. I don't know what the line's shaping up to look like next year. The run game could be good. How's the defense going to be? You got to think it's going to improve on what it's doing now. But is a guy who's like, I got 1 year to go, grad transfer. Sam Hartman, Wake Forest, wants to play another year. I'm going to grad transfer to Florida. He's going to want to come to a team that's ready to win.
All right, so let me ask you this. If you're saying you don't know how this team's going to be next year, well, then what is AR? If he wants to win, why is he saying?
Well, you bring a guy back like that who's been in a system now for 2 years for the first time in college, who can be transcendent at times. And if he's more consistent, you got a real nice piece there along with that running game. And he's part of that running game. Those three guys ran for 75 each together. That was a three-headed monster thing. I just think you got something going better than if you're just taking a chance with some dude in the portal, and you might not even get the best guy because he looks at the situation as like, this team's going to win 8 games next year, 9 maybe, whatever. And it's not going to be an elite team.
All right, Edgar, we already ran out of time. I appreciate all your insight.
We just go about this all the time.
I know, but hey, if he comes back, we better win 10 games. All I got to say, we got to win games. I don't care who plays quarterback. We have got to win games, and the quarterback has got to play consistent football. And he did Saturday. If he'll play like that every Saturday, we have a chance.
All right, I like it.
All right, that's Edgar Thompson. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Time went way too fast. Hope you enjoyed today's program. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Take care.